Rutherford, New Jersey. Saturday. England recovered from a labored and uninspiring start as goals from Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane secured a 2-0 win over Panama and the top spot in Group L. And it turns out that an individual who was there to watch all of it, apparently, I'm sure at a very reasonable ticket price, is going to join us next. He is Fox 9 weather superstar, Ian Leonard, I should say, kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm on the bat phone. I can't believe it. Yeah, I'm good. Really good.
So give us the backstory. How does Ian Leonard, before we talk about what it was like and the atmosphere, etc., what the hell were you doing in East Rutherford this weekend?
Okay, great question. And to answer the question, Dan, we have to go way back. So,
good.
My parents are British. They immigrated from England. My first set of pajamas were Manchester United pajamas, and from there it was United and Team England jerseys for my entire life. My father still had his gear from the only time England's won the World Cup in '66. And it was fathers and sons have a big focus. Sometimes it's baseball or football or some sort. That was our true commonality. And Dad passed away 14 years ago on Christmas Eve, and I needed to go. I wanted to go. I mean, if you're a fan of soccer, it's epic to go to a World Cup game. And it was a bucket list. You know, the birth of my children, the marriage to my wife are higher than that, although it would depend on when you ask. But for the most part, sure. Yeah, they're higher than that. I think they're higher than that. Yeah. So and you raise an interesting question. How did you get there? I mean, we've all seen the ticket prices, and it's punitive. It's really kind of bad. I mean, FIFA's not done a great job of controlling the secondary markets. I don't know how you would, but so my wife knows how much I love soccer and the English national team. And on Christmas, she put a box under the tree, and there was nothing in the box but a little piece of paper that said it had a Team England logo, and it said whatever it takes.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. So then I started looking at prices, and I was like, oh, wow. And that was the day you could enter the ticket lottery. And I entered the ticket lottery, and I won tickets.
That's tremendous. And so there you were.
I'm pretty sure my dad had a hand. I don't know, but I feel like my dad had a hand in it, and it was
outstanding.
They're still expensive. They're still $460, but it's better than $4,000.
Much better, for sure. So that's a great backstory. So tell us, how you found the experience. I mean, getting there, atmospherics, once you're in there, what was it like?
I think like most people, when I'm going somewhere, like, I don't know if you do this, but when I'm planning a vacation and I'm going to a beach or a cabin or a city, I just get online and I research. I think we're kind of like that. All of us are kind of nerds that way. Me probably more than others. And you start looking at the everyone posting online, the horrific experience. It's impossible to get to the game, the gridlock, the tickets, how much. I have to tell you, I went to New York expecting a nightmare. And it was marvelous. It was like the D-Day invasion. This thing was planned down to the second. Yeah. You showed up at Columbus Circle with your ticket to get on the bus. You got on the bus. They had free water for you to get it there. It was, it's about a 6-mile drive from Midtown out to the Meadowlands as the crow flies. Obviously, you can't do that in New York. But it was only about 35 minutes on the bus, and you get there. And if you think about U.S. Bank Stadium, and say that's where the game is, and scoot out a perimeter about 5 blocks in every direction, and that's where security is. And security was great. They handled it great. They handed out more free water, which I'm like, God, how much water do I need to drink? Okay, I'll stay hydrated. Stop. And you go through security, and then there's just this massive fan experience. it's bars and it's Coca-Cola and Doritos and all of the big name sponsors. And, it's, as luck would have it, I'm wearing my England gear, and it's just, it's singing and parades and dancing and hugs and pictures. And it's a look. I know if anybody has never been a soccer fan or been to a soccer game, they're like, well, that sounds stupid. And I'm like, no. It was glorious. It was epic. It was true. It was amazing. It was everything I needed it to be for this journey for my father, and everything I wanted it to be for a World Cup soccer game. And man, it was. I've been to some Super Bowls. I've been to some World Series. I'm lucky. I'm like you. We're pretty lucky. We get to do some really cool stuff.
Well, you know what I think the most important thing you've mentioned here, and I'm glad you got into it. And to me, as very casual soccer fan, growing to enjoy the whole concept more than I've ever done before, it's what you describe regarding fan experience stuff, because we're getting these videos, these viral videos everywhere, right? And it does indicate that fans of various countries are creating these pockets of intensity that are tremendous. I mean, they look fun. They look like there's not a lot of horror shows attached to it, at least, not so far. Let's hope it stays there. And it brings a different flavor. That's what I like. That is different from the Super Bowl. It is different from, Stanley Cup playoffs or final NBA play, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You get that sense of the degree to which people are getting into whatever nation they happen to be following. And they, by the way, also, unless they're lying a lot, they're saying, we're having fun here. We're having a really good time sort of learning a little bit more about the culture here and getting into the whole thing.
And everyone's wearing a jersey.
Yeah.
And, Germany played 2 days before the England game. And I think, German fans come over and they want to maximize their soccer experience. So they're at the England-Panama game and they're wearing their German jerseys and they're arm in arm jumping around and singing. And look, there's always the hooligan talk from the 70s and the 80s. But this was so much more, and I don't want to overstate this like I'm living in a fantasy world. But it creates this wonderful community for about 5 or 6 hours where everybody wants to win, right? I want my team to win. That's why I'm here. Get out of the way. But could you imagine if you went to a Philadelphia Eagles game or a Jets game and you tried to hang out and tailgate and party with the opposing fans? They'd be like, get out of here, dude.
Sure.
There might be some who welcome you in, and obviously not everybody's that way. But I just didn't see it anywhere. I didn't see it in the pubs in London. Everyone's wearing different team jerseys. I think everyone's just happy that this is happening. And Dan, can I sound awful for 2 seconds?
Of course.
I think soccer in so many ways, because it's the world game.
Yep.
I think when people stop and take a breath, I think it becomes a unifier. If you're into soccer, it does become this great unifier. And I know right now there are people in their cars going, "Oh, this Leonard guy's an idiot." I get it.
That's okay.
I understand. I get it. But that's my perception, and that's the way it felt especially when you're right in the middle of it.
No, I understand totally what you're saying, and I think, like I said, I don't think you have to be hardcore about soccer to still get into this sort of event the way it is played out. And obviously, there's a long way to go. I mean, I assume, and I don't want to get you too emotional about this, but I got to believe when you make that pilgrimage and when you're in that stadium, there had to be a couple moments where you're there with your dad, right? That has to be, because I know that's the whole objective here, is trying to get that feel, pay homage to that history, etc.
Yeah, now you make me cry. So, it was. I think it'd be like if you had a catch with your dad every day when he came home from the office, and you both followed the, insert major league ball club here, and suddenly your ball club eventually goes to the series and your father's no longer there. I think if people put it in that light, I think they'd understand. Yeah, I mean, I had some good tears.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
they were so happy. It was it was awesome.
Yeah, and again, maybe the that's the last game you go to, or maybe there'll be another one in the future, but that's a memory that's going to always stay with you now, right? I mean, period.
Yeah, it was huge. It really, and I think that baseball analogy I just used will maybe help people understand it a little more.
Right.
Because, what's the guy's name on Ted Lasso? I said, football is life, and soccer for a lot of people is, but so is baseball for some, and football for others. And I just think whatever is your passion, you find it and you live it and you love it. And if you can share it with your family, it makes it even more important, even deeper. And so for me, this was, it was a bit of a pilgrimage. That's a good way to put it.
Were you worried at all?
You brought me to tears. Way to go.
Well, the England ends up winning, I think, 2-0. It's being, and I didn't see much of this game. It's being described as not a great performance. Were you ever in fear that your team was in danger of actually not winning it? Yeah.
So like in hockey, you've heard of teams when they play the trap. How hard it is for a spirited offense to get through the trap. Well, in soccer, you play what's called a lower block. And, all these teams have kind of figured out England's offense. And if you play a lower block, it really stymies Team England. They don't play these big slashing quick runs like the Argentinian team. And they were a lower block. And until Jude Bellingham scored, we were all a little nervous. And then at the end of the game, the coolest part, Jude Bellingham's on the field almost by himself, and the entire stadium is singing "Hey Jude." It was awesome.
That's outstanding.
It was awesome. So you got 84,000 people singing.
How far can your club go, do you think?
I think this Wednesday it should be an easy. I don't think there's anything easy because you're one goal away from losing the World Cup. Yeah. But Democratic Republic of Congo is picked like maybe 26 out of the final 32. I think if England could pop one in the first half, then we're on our way. After that, it would probably be when it depends who wins, but then it would be Mexico. In Mexico City at Azteca at elevation. That's a formidable task.
Right.
And then after that, they would play possibly France, maybe in Miami. Not that I've mapped at all.
No, you're on top of it, man.
I've never done that.
That's impressive for sure.
But I'd love to. If they got to Miami, I'd love to go to that game. And if I can't get tickets, I would just love to hang out. And here's how much I love this community. I would love to just go to a city and hang out. Sure. And I've heard that from a lot of people. If you can't get a ticket, you go there and you immerse yourself in your team and the fans and the experience. And New York City was lovely. I didn't, but I did at least effort to have a pint in every pub in Manhattan. Probably not a great idea for planning, but it worked out well.
Fox 9's Ian Leonard kind enough to join us. So this heat wave, historic or just not a daunting one, or what do we got? What do we got cooking now? How long is this going to last? What do we make of it?
Well, I think the first thing you do is you put it in perspective. We haven't had a lot of heat. And by the way, it's almost July. Yeah. So it's going to come, like today, it comes at you fast and hard, and you're like, well, this is peculiar, to which I would say it's not. The 4th comes on Saturday. It's a hot, steamy week. And, we talk a lot about the heat index, and people say, well, how can it possibly be hotter than it is? They say the same thing when we talk about wind chill. But, when you perspire, that perspiration is supposed to evaporate. That creates an effect called evaporative cooling, and that should technically cool your body down. But when the dew point is so high and there's so much moisture in the atmosphere around your body, it doesn't matter how much you sweat. None of it is evaporating, so you actually feel hotter. Yeah. Hence the heat index. Now, here's the kicker. The heat index is computed for the shade. It's an old algorithm. So the new algorithm is the global wet bulb temperature. And right now it's about 103 degrees, the feels like temperature in the shade. Oh. But the global wet bulb is about 111. That's calculated in direct sunshine. So it's brutal.
What did you call that? The global wet what? What's it called?
Wet bulb temperature.
Wet bulb temperature? Wow, that's a fancy term. I've not heard that one before.
Yeah. You know what? You can also throw in a great one here. An instrument we used to use way back in the olden days was something we call a sling psychrometer, where you would figure out the wet bulb temperature by taking a wet piece of material and putting it on the end and swinging it around. I mean, we looked like idiots in the olden days. Not that I don't look like an idiot every day.
We all do. But, we're all just doing that.
Yeah, so hot and steamy this week. High temperatures in the 90s. I think we're heat index at least in the lower triple digits here as we head through Wednesday. But then we're just playing hot and steamy and sticky all the way to the 4th. And the biggest problem here is that we have a chance of storms every day. All day today, we have these storms that rolled out of the Dakotas, producing wind gusts at around 131 miles per hour last night and overnight. And that rolled across the northern third of Minnesota. Today we had tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. Thankfully, none of those verified. And right now they're rolling out over Lake Superior. And we have a chance of storms here late tonight and again tomorrow night and again on Wednesday night. We get hot and humid. I think most people go, oh, yep, there's going to be storms. Time to watch that Leonard guy. He's a weirdo, though.
Especially when he rolls his sleeves up. I was mentioning early a bit of weather history that I'd forgotten. It was actually a headline in the Chicago Sun-Times from the heat wave of 1995, summer of 95, in which I think that headline, and that was incomplete. That was only at the start of the heat wave. And already the headline indicated a couple hundred dead. Chicago had a disastrous time with that particular heat wave, which I don't have much memory of. Do you remember much about it, or why it got so bad that many people, despite I think some pretty earnest efforts to put people into cool places, that there were that many fatalities?
Yeah, I mean, not to deflect, and I'll get back to that in a second. There's a terrible way to answer a question, but so far in, I think it's not all of Europe, but maybe just France. There's over 1,000 deaths from the heat in the last 5 days.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I think a lot of people are like, hold on, how do you die in the heat? Well, you can literally cook to the point where your innards, your organs, you get so hot and your organs start to shut down. And for us, when did you say 1970 what?
No, 1995. Summer of 95, at least in Chicago. Now, again, I think that was one of the places where it was at its worst. And one of the theories I do now remember is the old thing of checking on more elderly individuals who maybe either didn't have air conditioning or it wasn't working, and they weren't being checked on. That was one of those moments where we went to a different place on attempting to check on individuals who just were by themselves, and they just died in the heat.
Yeah, the very young, the very old. Your hairy, not the weird uncle at Thanksgiving, but your hairy family members like your dog and your cat. For us, I think checking on each other is a good thing. I would say that you and I and Guardsy and everyone else, we live a good life and we have air conditioning.
Yeah.
I think we forget that there are so many people who don't have air conditioning or access to air conditioning.
Yeah. Very true.
And if you think about going home right now and turning off your air and trying to open your windows and cool your house down, it's an impossible thing. Mm-hmm. Your house will stay at 100 degrees overnight, and you're just slowly and surely cooking yourself, and it's a terrible place to be. Ugh. But you're right. You check on your family and your friends, the people down the street in the older tenement, or the people down the street have they're retired, they're elderly, they don't have air conditioning. Knock on the door. Say hi, take them some lemonade or ask them to come over and watch some TV in your basement for a while. I think we have a responsibility to try and make the world a better place, and what a great place to start, right? Checking on your neighbors.
Well, speaking of that, I'm gonna be accused of sucking up to you too much here, but this text came in much earlier in the show. This is from 612 guy. Ian Leonard has done marvelous coverage of the Special Olympics over the last several days and some amazing feature stories. If you can work in a kudos to him for that when you have him on, that would be awesome. So this is our attempt to do exactly that.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, thanks, 612 guy. Yeah, I went to the bosses a few months ago, and I've been with Special Olympics for 30 years, and I love my involvement. I love the athletes. I love the organization, the movement of inclusion. But I went to some athletes, and I asked their family, can we talk? And I didn't want them to be glitzy interviews, Dan. I didn't want them to be all produced up with fancy graphics. I just wanted to talk to athletes in their own words and talk to them about what it was like growing up. And they opened up about being bullied and what Special Olympics meant. And they're real thought-evoking, and they'll probably make even the hardened people out there cry. But I'm really, thank you. That guy's great. I like that guy. Thanks for bringing that up. Last week was emotional for my dad and for Special Olympics. But what a success Special Olympics was here. Over $60 million of economic impact, 3,000 athletes, another couple of thousand coaches and families, and just being there and watching these amazing athletes in these world-class facilities. That was something else.
Yeah,
it really was. And
9 did a good job. I mean, again, it's on my station, it's Guardsy's, and so I'll be accused of not being objective, but you guys did a really good job with all of that. In fact, 218 guy writes, hey, tell Ian his Special Olympics plunge buddy Kellen says hi as well. See, they're all pouring in, man. Everybody's checking in with you.
That's great. I love it. By the way, would it kill you to do a polar plunge, Daniel?
Yeah, I think it would.
Would it kill you?
I can't swim, first of all. Yeah, don't you drown in it?
No, you don't. How about you send Guardsy as a proxy?
Guardsy, well, I think Guardsy's done it. Haven't you, Guardsy? I'll keep Guardsy as my proxy, I think. That's the best way.
I've done multiple.
That's true. You've done it with Ian, haven't you?
Ian saved me one time because I wasn't properly dressed on the ice, and I doubted him, and it's one of my favorite stories. He looked at me like, you're going to tell me what the temperature is here, bud? And then he went and got me a jacket. It was good.
I did. I went and got him a coat. He's hanging out in, loafers and a pair of jeans. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it wasn't a good move. It was March. I thought I could pull it off.
We've gone too long, but I got to get I'm glad I got reminded. We got texters who pay attention to the show sometimes more than I do. So the other day, I was seeing these headlines about the super El Nino, that there was like a 60% chance. So is this real? Is this not as big a deal as it's made? Because I know El Nino does have, can be a big factor. So is the super El Nino discussion real or Memorex?
It is. It's a little bit like the polar vortex, something that nobody had heard about 10 years ago. It's real. It exists. But in this world of clickbait, Dan, we're always looking for the next thing to get you to click on through. But when we talk about a deep El Nino or a super El Nino forming, it has massive implications against the hurricane season. It has massive implications of the snowpack in the northern Rockies. That's hydroelectric power. That's runoff. That's our storage. That's our water storage for the winter into next summer. For us, it leaves us on the fine cusp. And, people will say, oh, I heard a super El Nino. It's going to mean it's milder here. Well, look, milder statistically might mean every month is about 2 degrees warmer than average. You still need a coat. You still need to warm up your car, and you're probably still not going to love winter.
Yeah.
But for nerds like me, statistics mean everything. And for us, super El Nino does mean a lot. I don't think the regular person's gonna see a big difference.
651 gal is mad at you. She says she's been trying to drive. Postal gal, she calls herself. I'm trying to drive. Well, you reduced her. She was blubbering. She listened to you talk about your dad and soccer and the trip to England out of, love and support and remembrances with him, and now she's blubbering because of you.
No, it's because of you.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe I did start.
You know what? If that's good, then people understand that there's emotion involved, and it's not just about some nerd going to soccer. And I swear to God, I talked to my dad 3 or 4 times during the game, and it wasn't about the game. I wasn't asking him to help England score a goal.
Yep.
I just kept saying thanks. I'm thankful. I'm really thankful.
That's what I wanted to hear. I appreciate the time, my friend. Great work. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. We'll talk soon.
We'll do it for sure. Let me see. Oh, actually, I think Guardsy already grabbed the call. Ian Leonard, Fox 9 meteorologist, who, when the sleeves are rolled up, we know trouble is afoot. But great Special Olympics work, especially on his part, and I'm glad he was able to tell us the story about watching jolly old England, the country of his parents, and to have that memory of maybe even, saluting his dad who had passed away several years ago as well, but still in his thoughts as he sees jolly old England not only participate in the World Cup, but win a game in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Bottom of the hour pause. Johnny Athletic in about 1 hour. The question is, will he make us cry? We'll find out.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-800 Ask Gary Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by the new...
All right. This is from Camaro Guy, who writes that he spent a lot of time in Chicago on business in 1995 when the heat wave hit there very hard. And that's exactly what it was. Elderly individuals in apartments with no AC. Many were not discovered for days.
Man.
You can imagine how bad that was for first responders. And that's now that I start thinking about it, that's what came back to me, was the lesson that time was precisely that. It was people who, for whatever reason, didn't have folks checking up on them. Maybe their relatives are out of town, whatever the case may be. And it piled up. It was, because there was a part of, I think for a lot of people, it's like, this can't happen in a major city in 1995. That would have been, I think. That can't happen. Maybe out in the country, like if some remote location, but that's not possible that hundreds, and I don't remember what the final count was, but I think it was in the hundreds in that case. And I don't know why Chicago in particular. That was, I think, a big city in the middle of that heat wave. I don't know if, for example, the Twin Cities were in the middle of that same heat wave in the summer of 1995. I'm not sure. I mentioned Johnny's going to join us in about 1 hour. I want to get quickly to a story we alluded to earlier. Let me see if I can get it back. No, that's not the one I want. Here it is. It relates to new charges filed on federal charges against Malik Beasley and Ed Davis. Both of them, by the way, were Timberwolves. In fact, I think part of the time they were teammates.
I forgot about Ed
Beasley. I think Beasley was here. Was it 2 seasons, maybe 3? I think Ed was only here for 1. In any case, I'm reading from an athletic story that lays out the updated case against them. Sports gambling charges. Because in the case of Beasley, for a long time, it was under investigation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was that question of, well, innocent until proven guilty. What do we know? What do we have? And I don't know that we'd had previous charges, but we do have charges now. This is out of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. And they are alleging that Beasley, who most recently played for the Pistons in 2025, accrued millions of dollars in gambling debt. And that Davis, a 2010 lottery pick who played 12 seasons in the NBA, loaned him money. Beasley worked off that debt as part of a betting scheme with Davis and at least 4 other men, including Davis's former agent, Paolo Zamorano, according to the indictment at least. And we are the connection. Prosecutors say Davis and Beasley became friends when they were teammates with the Wolves during the 2020-21 season. And that the two then collaborated to manipulate Beasley's performance in 4 games during the 2023-24 season. At that point, Beasley was with the Bucks. Zamorano and 3 other defendants then used that non-public information to place bets on Beasley's performance, according to the indictment. They allege that the group bet tens of thousands of dollars on a Jan 26, 2024 game between the Bucks and the Cavs. Beasley averaged 11.3 points during that season for the Bucks, but scored just 3 points on 2 shots against the Cavs. Only way you can beat Vegas is sports betting. Davis texted Beasley about a month ahead of that game, according to the indictment. Everything else, they got the edge. Prosecutors alleging that Beasley also rigged his performance in a game against the Hornets, Feb 27 of 2024. There was a March 10, 2024 game against the Clippers and a March 21, 2024 game against the Nets. The bettors wagered on Beasley to hit the over prop bet on his rebounds against the Clippers, then celebrated when he collected his 4th rebound in the game's final seconds, according to the indictment. The scheme went awry, according to prosecutors, after Beasley could not hit the under on his rebounds against the Nets. All 6 defendants face charges of sports bribery, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, honest services fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. You'll remember last off-season, the Pistons had offered Beasley a 3-year, $42 million contract.
Wow. Yeah, I remember.
Then they rescinded the offer when the Pistons were notified that Beasley was facing a federal investigation. So this is like the blueprint, right? I mean, this is sort of the perfect storm coming together. Even a player who's obviously made a lot of money in his career gets deeply into debt and then becomes what? Vulnerable. How the hell do I get out of this? Well, I don't love doing this. I doubt he loved it, but he felt like he pretty much had to do it. Davis comes to him with this plan, and he figures, well, why not? We are going to give it the old college try at the professional level. And that's always been the concern, that even players who, are making huge amounts of money sometimes find ways to squander it, whatever the case may be. And now with the with the proliferation of especially the prop bet, right? It becomes, this is our best shot to get out of this. This is our best shot to not get caught. I haven't read in the story deeply enough to know if there was like a trigger. Did a trigger go off in the system that then opened the door to investigators investigating this, or was there some other tip-off? What exactly did somebody else who they had under investigation name names, right? Because Beasley would be one of the biggest names, correct?
Yeah.
Obviously.
He was an important player on a lot of different teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Wolves included. I just go back to...
He's made, by the way, for the record, $60 million during his NBA career. 60.
Yeah.
And apparently squandered all of it.
I think about Ryan Saunders just trying to keep his head above water as he's coaching the Minnesota Timberwolves, because that was Ant's rookie year, 2021, right?
Correct.
And he's trying to, handle that collection. He's got Ant, he's got Cat. I'm guessing he has D'Lo, and then he's got those two guys that at some point are probably, not the most reliable of all time. Like, there's a lot going on in NBA locker rooms you don't necessarily think about. It's crazy.
That's very true. There's no question about that. Well, we'll see if we get any more information on this, because I am curious to know what the trigger might have indeed been. 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Photo ball guy, Rick the photo ball guy, writes, Dan, is there a kinder, more affable guest that you book than Ian Leonard? He's not on often, but he always puts a smile on my face. One of the good ones. That's Rick, the photo ball guy.
What's up, Rick?
What's that?
Rick, the photo ball guy.
Yeah, the main guy.
What's going on, Rick?
Hope he's doing well. Well, he did. He got me a second ball with Walton and me on it, because the first one, my daughter used the ball too much on the basket, and so the stuff started smearing off. The print. So he was kind enough to get a second one going. We asked about the El Nino. I think Ian mentioned what an athletic fat guy gets into. Many French people died last week while trying to swim and cool off, which sounds it doesn't sound possible. Right? But there have been some of those issues.
You wonder how many people were in Ian's shoes this weekend or lately at the World Cup thinking about
their own version of that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I always think about the Cubs, obviously. I think about the people that were going to graveyards listening to the game on the radio because it had been so long for the Cubs. And every team has those stories, but it's good stuff.
To your point, CJ in Minneapolis was most fortunate enough to have a generous wife take us to Boston for last Friday's Norway versus France match. I've been a supporter of Les Bleus for the last 30 years, as my mother was from France. No better town to visit for a World Cup match in the summer. Striking difference in the crowd spirit between these teams. Norway was wonderfully over the top, while my French friends were aloof and confident. But same thing. In his case, it's his mother is a connection. And
great.
there's tons of those kinds of stories. I mean, people have had fun with the, I don't know if it was any particular nationality that seems utterly fascinated with Costco.
Yes.
And I think it's the volume, right? It's the
volume.
The sheer volume of all that's there.
Yes.
Bill Maher had a monologue laying out, despite all the predictions of doom and gloom coming into the country, that this has actually been a very good Chamber of Commerce-y moment for the country thus far in terms of the way people are reacting. He said somebody was losing their mind again about how much culture they found, and they were at a Walmart when they said it.
Right.
So
We're hanging in.
We're hanging in.
We're hanging in on the eve of our 250th. We're hanging in.
As he acknowledged, that doesn't mean everything's perfect. He said, I get it. We got a lot of things that we can do. We got to take care of Caitlin Clark getting all this extra publicity for not being anywhere near as good as she should be and way being too popular. We're working on that. We're continuing to work our way to cut her down to proper size. We're doing everything we can to that extent. How about the pointer gal, Sophie?
The best.
You got into that.
It's the best. It's my favorite thing.
Who was her who she was battling? Was it in that game?
I think it was.
I think it was in that game. So she basically is in a scrum, and she starts pointing. And I think it was who was the player who did the fist to the throat?
Well, it wasn't. That was Thomas. She was pointing at Dewana Bonner.
Oh, Bonner. That's right. Yeah, you're right. My bad. But the point, what was different about this is the point went on for, did they time it like 17 seconds?
22 seconds.
22 seconds.
And Bonner said, "Don't point at me." And so then she just kept pointing. And I literally get, every time I refresh Twitter, I have another 5 sent to me. Because I just told people, I said, send these to me. Because they crack me up. All of the bits crack me up. Those are the days. That's why, as much as I want to quit social media just forever, and the second that I can, I probably will. Those are the days where
save it for you.
It's a redeeming day. It's redemption because people are so funny.
And the redemption let's go back to the World Cup discussion. Another form of the redemption is the kind of anecdotes we're getting and some of the shots we're getting, viral shots of fans doing the rowing, whatever, up the escalator, whatever the case may be. It's been a lot of fun. Let's get caught up. We went a little long. A couple people want to know if we have thoughts on LeBron to Golden State.
A lot of steam. Top 5 at 5, maybe.
Ooh.
Bumper.
Germany just tied things up against Paraguay, 1 apiece. Now looks like coming up on 57 minutes into the ball game, so to speak. 1-1. This is the second of, I think there's 3 knockout stage games today and tonight.
Netherlands and Morocco.
That's the one this evening?
From Guadalupe, Mexico.
And we already have Brazil coming from behind to knock off Japan 2-1. And like clockwork, at halftime, I tweeted out the obvious. You doubted Japan. And as soon as Brazil tied it, somebody tweeted, a little premature, weren't you? Do people understand how X works?
No.
They still don't.
Or life in general, no.
Oh, speaking of that goal, see if I can find it here. Hold on a second. So the tying goal for Brazil was made by Casemiro. Did I see him do a version of the big balls dance? Does that exist in World Cup or in soccer?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it does.
It looked to me, but what was interesting about it was he was doing the juggling way up high by his head.
Oh,
so that might have been something different?
That's something different, yeah. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a different celebration.
Think it's a different celebration?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe people can correct me.
I'm learning, on the fly here, this soccer world for sure. Speaking of Bill Maher, Dan, what were your thoughts on his conversation with the VP? He had the VP on. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw he had him on. I didn't watch it.
Let's see if I can find it because I do have the key moment for me. I thought it was very good. Now, some people say he was too collegial. He should have hit him, that sort of thing. Here, the key exchange, and we can't really play it. I thought this was Maher at his best. Looking directly at the VP. Under Trump, you have outcomes that an election can be either we win or they cheated. That bleep has to stop. That's all you need to say. It's direct. And the response was it didn't happen in 2024, but it happened in 2020. And Maher's response, you're going to get a big pat on the back when you get back to the White House. Also very well played on the fly. Yeah, I thought he pushed back I thought that was his best moment. And again, you don't need to hem and haw. It doesn't take 5 or 6 minutes to make the point. He made it right there. I mean, it's pretty convenient that when you win, you win. And when you lose, you didn't really lose. And that bleep has to stop. It never will. But thought that was very well played. Dan, one of the best off-the-cuff remarks of the World Cup so far is when England played in Boston. One of the Fox analysts said England still has an uphill battle today as they've historically struggled here in Massachusetts. Which, if true, is very well played. Whatever happened to the World Cup update sounder we're supposed to get? Why didn't we get one? It's not too late. The thing's going on for 2 more weeks. Can we get one? Can we find one? Can we invent one? A World Cup sounder.
Was that here the day we were supposed to get one?
Yeah, no, but I brought it up several times. And you ignored me.
I must just not be listening.
Yeah, that's par for the course here. Yeah. I mean, there's something. There's got to be one we can get. Does iHeart have one, official one, like they did with the Olympics? Because the Olympic one wasn't bad.
Let's just play the Olympic one.
You have that still?
I don't know if we have money for 2.
Or should you just play Sochi?
Or Pyeongchang.
And that'll be our... All right.
And we'll probably get in trouble for Pyeongchang now.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we didn't even say it.
No, we didn't. It was
like AI voice.
It was an AI voice. Yeah, there wasn't anything. Yeah, there wasn't anything that should have been all that
Sochi.
controversy.
Wasn't Sochi 2014?
Yes, it was.
God, we've been at this a long time. We've really been at this a long time.
I'm not the biggest fan of sports betting, but if it's going to be legal, how hard would it be to only allow people to bet the overs on prop bets? I feel like that takes away a lot of the possibilities of players being able to influence the game in an overtly negative way. Thoughts? That's from 507 guy Flip. Well, the potentially, couldn't the problem be you got a guy taking more shots than he should just to make the over, and it actually affects the performance of the team in a way that it shouldn't?
Maybe, but that would be that's where it would be.
It's better,
blatantly obvious.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit more obvious that something was amiss.
Isn't the juggling 6-7? Is that true?
Could be.
Yeah, it could be.
Could be. I'd have to see it. It could be.
That's Dustin from
the prop bets, though, are 1,000,000% the problem.
No question.
Because it used to be. I'm old enough to remember when it was just about shaving points, right?
Yes.
Like it was just those types of betting scandals because that was all you could do, and betting wasn't legal everywhere, and it was just a different time. Now, almost every single one of these betting scandals with individual players has to do with the prop bets. That's it. You're searching.
Well, I'm thinking, no, that doesn't really say World Cup, does it? Even though it's a World Cup. No, that wasn't a World Cup announcement. That was basketball.
That was basketball. A guy was on a heater. He made like 7
I'm trying to figure out if we have anything on here that could be used in that way.
Not really.
I don't think there is. Yeah, we should find one.
All right.
It's not too late.
No, it's not.
I mean, I'm not asking for like a major production. We can steal it. As long as it's legal. I don't know. We're kind of paranoid about that here at iHeart these days, aren't we?
Yes. If we're licensed to do things.
Trademarks and things like that. Yeah, we could. I mean,
Harlan would be good at soccer.
Harlan would be very good at soccer.
I wonder if he's ever done soccer.
That's a good question. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea.
I'm sure there's like a 20-minute story that he'll tell you one day.
Or just the Vuvuzela, which you can find online.
Yes.
Maybe the Vuvuzela sound. Although I haven't noticed as many. Is it out of fashion in the soccer world?
I think it is a little bit.
Huh.
At least in the World Cup.
Yeah, probably the people who go to games probably appreciate that because I assume it probably gets a little old.
Or you don't even notice it after a while.
That could be.
I find there was a stretch where I didn't even really. It's just kind of background noise.
Well, we'll see. Use Ricky Rubio for World Cup sound. That's from Panty Soup Guy. Well, I don't know. Rubio? Do we have Rubio still?
We have a lot of Rubio. Which one? I mean, change your face, believe. What do you mean? I'm Ricky Rubio. I'm not like anybody else.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
We got a lot of Rubio.
Top 5 will include?
It will include the Hall of Famer Cheryl Reeve with another honor. And when Steph Curry comes to Target Center next year, will he be a member of the Olden State Warriors?
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored